Remember this.
All right. Welcome back. You're listening to The Takeover with Dami Oke. And we've got Jess Finesse in the building. How are you doing,
I'm
darling?
groovy, babes. I'm groovy.
I'm so glad you're here.
Thank
and you're
you.
always looking, I don't know. I can never describe your style because it's
I
actually so
can't even
dope.
describe my style. So, we in the same boat.
It's so dope
Thank
every
you very
time.
much. Thank
Listen.
you. Thank you.
So
babes.
welcome to the show.
Thank you for
This is
having
your
me.
first time here,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And Sir Dauda is also still with us because we need a
Yep,
guy here
yep,
to
yep.
roast. And he said,
To roast
"No,
the
he's
beef.
up to the challenge." I'm
need a guy
joking.
here. We don't need a guy
I'll
here,
be
to
your
honest.
beef. I'll be your chick.
We are going to be talking about a few things today. So, we'll talk about dating as a millennial, first of all. Then we're also talking about, that toxic thing of wanting closure and also being that good woman he can always crawl back to. Why do you guys do that thing? Why do you guys do that
So
thing?
what is closure though? Because you say wanting closure.
So,
Like, is it some kind of?
is it a necessity? That's what I think. Let me ask you first. Like when you have a breakup with someone, do you look for closure?
It depends on how the breakup went, man. It
Depends
depends on what caused the breakup. And I know Jess is looking at me weird now, but you had something genuinely special with, and it ended abruptly. I think closure. You need closure
You need
at that
an
time because
explanation of
why?
course.
What happened? Why? We were so good. Blah 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 blah. But if it was a person that you were just waiting to get rid of, that you were just looking for any angle to get rid of them, or if it was somebody that it ended in a way that you're like, so this is who you are, or this is how you are, then good riddance to bad rubbish.
Yeah.
I think that's already closure. So
Yeah. What about you, Jess? Do you when you break up with someone, do you look for closure?
I no longer believe in the concept of closure. This is somebody who used to be obsessed with bringing things to an end,
Right.
or closing a chapter in some way, shape, or form. And as I grew up and in my big age now, I don't think closure is necessary.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll fight for closure in spaces where it's inevitable for you to get closure. The other party doesn't want to explain themselves. The other party doesn't have a desire to explain themselves, and you that desires, to where did we go wrong? Where did things go wrong? I mean, it's relationships are not finite. Any type of relationship, friendship, romantic relationship, nothing I believe is finite anymore. So to say that there's an end goal or there's an ending when it comes to people, I don't believe in it. I've never received adequate closure ever in my life.
Really?
So, no, ma'am.
I think I've gotten adequate closure just one time. No, actually, one time, and it happened years later.
See, that's
And
the person was
years later,
So-
and I didn't know I needed it, but it just it just happened.
I don't even know if I would want to classify that as closure, because you were living a full life, and then it was by the way, you guys now reconnected, and then I got the answer.
This
to
is
it's a good
something I was
feeling.
looking
It's
for.
like,
You know
this
what?
person.
So I don't call.
what?
I wouldn't say that's closure.
Yeah, you're right. It was a sense of me and this guy had a thing when I was much younger and very naive. And it was probably my first love, quote unquote, right? And it ended so badly.
This one's a touchy here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the beginning of Men Are Scum campaign, and it ended so badly. But years later, I was like, I don't know where I was going. I was going on holiday anyways, and I was on a layover in Dubai at 3 in the morning or something. I get a phone call randomly from this dude.
That's how it used to start.
From this dude, and I'm like,
Yeah,
hi,
cool.
and then he's like, he says this is, and I was like, huh, hello, hi, how are you? This is weird, and he's just like, he just wanted to call to say he's sorry for so and so, and I was like,
Girl, his conscience was biting him.
it was for him, it wasn't
conscience
for me,
was
because
biting
I
him.
found out he was about to propose to his girl.
Oh, so for his
So
conscience
I think
to
maybe his
rest.
pastor told him,
Wow.
go and Go and
But
just
all the
talk
people
to
you
all the people
offended.
you offended. Go and call them
Jesus.
and say
So
you're
your
sorry.
marriage can be good.
Wait, did
You
he
know?
tell you he was about to marry somebody? or
No,
you
but
found
then
out?
I
You
found out
found
like 2
out.
weeks later he's proposing to the
Wow.
girl.
That
So
dirty
it's just
exposure.
like
What a bastard.
put 2 and 2 together. Do you know what I
But-
mean? But it
but-
was because it was very, very straight. I'm telling you.
Was it what you had with him? Was it a happy situation, or was it something that you had to end?
No, like it
She said that
It
that
ended
started men
horribly.
are scum for her.
that's what started men as come for me. It
okay,
ended very
okay.
bad. It ended very, very badly.
Okay.
You know, but I was a teenager,
can
so
see
I
how-
don't even count it as something like that. Like, okay, yeah, it molded, what I thought about guys initially, right? But because I was a teenager, I didn't think of it as something huge. I was just like, I was being stupid, I was being naive, and so was he. So whatever, we were kids.
I
It's
got
fine.
that. I got
You know what I
that.
mean?
I got
So
that.
when he came like in my adult life, and he's all like, I'm sorry for what happened
Yeah.
back then. I was like, it's all good. I was pretty stupid too. Like I was like that. I was like,
No, it's
all
a good thing that you moved on. As she said, you've been living a full life. You've become who you are, or you're in the process of becoming who you are, and doesn't really whatever he said or didn't really affect you
Yeah.
in any way. So
That's
yeah.
why
There
I-
are people out there who really like they need closure in order to move on.
So the thing about why I'm not I understand that like life is very hard. Like life is very, very hard, and everything is easier said than done. The reason why I really want to reiterate that situation was not closure was you did not need that to like elevate or move on in life.
Right.
Now there's people whose lives will literally be deteriorating
Yeah.
because somebody has not told them sorry, right? Seek that type of like explanation in order to move on. Like I
Right.
shouldn't say because something between me and somebody else failed, I will not move on in life, right?
Yeah.
I've gone through, like I said, I'm someone that used to deeply obsess about let's understand why something happened the way that it happened. And many
Right.
people like that I dealt with, whether in friendships or like otherwise, were not on that same wavelength with me. So all this while these people are like, I don't know, like it is what it is. And meanwhile, I'm like, no, I don't believe in it is what it is. I believe there's a
Right.
reason why this thing happened the way that it happened.
That is
and
me
they
too.
never would give me the time of day to explain. So for the longest time, it would affect my emotional state, my mental state, my work. It would be distracting me in all capacities and whatnot. And then I'll be there like, not progressing, and this person's they're living their
They're
best
just
life.
living
They're
their best
enjoying
lives, and you're like,
themselves.
this is really not even
Yeah.
They're
affecting
enjoying
you.
themselves.
So I think it has to be that in order, I would advise that if you are someone that still, desires to seek closure, try to understand that like closure is very subjective. The person you're trying to find the closure from may not see the value of the closure, so they won't give it to you. So you have to
Right.
figure out how to move.
You have to
forward.
move forward without
Yeah.
with or without the person. I mean, and you know what it is as well. We talk about relationships a lot, but we don't talk about other forms of relationships, which i.e. friendships.
Right.
They're also another form of
Some
relationship.
toxic friendships that
There's
you
some
need to.
toxic friendships and
Yeah.
that end and you feel like you need closure from it,
Right.
and you don't realize that it affects you even sometimes more than that
Yes.
fuck boy from
Yeah,
before.
because-
Do you know what I mean? Like it actually
Because there's no
affects
sex
you more.
involved.
There's no sex involved.
So it's
It's an
all
emotional
emotions.
connection.
All emotions,
between
all your
friends.
actions, all
Exactly,
your.
exactly.
It's no more. There's no sex in
There's
the
been-
equation, basically.
Exactly.
So
There's been situations where you had maybe you had a best friend or a friend that was super close to you, and you guys just fall out of nowhere, and you still like don't understand why. And when you
Yeah.
see them, it kind of gives you anxiety because it's like, how can you just be moving along like
Yeah,
nothing happened?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
what?
yeah.
And you have to learn that sometimes. Listen. Wait from now to Timbuktu. They're not going to say anything to you.
Right.
It's up to you to like say, you know what?
But how about if could I give a different angle? How about if, you've already hinted at that before, the other person's level with your what you think it is different from what the other person thinks it is, right?
Right.
So they think that they ended it well. They think that all your questions are answered. You should have. There's no mystery.
No,
right?
some people
And
they know they
you-
didn't answer any questions. They
Okay.
just wanted to fuck off.
What's
Okay.
the angle? No. Finish your
Well,
angle,
go
sir.
on.
Go
No, so
ahead.
my question is that, like, does that person owe you anything? In that person's mind, right? They feel like, you know what you did, you know what I did, you know why this should, and you know me as well. You know me and I know you, and you know why I'm upset, and you know why I can never take this, or why I don't even want to see your face again, So like Or I don't know. That's one random situation. I'm saying there's several things that can happen. Like I'm saying that I'm trying to say that with a point of, do you really need closure? I think it's a you thing. It's a you problem.
The closure is for yourself.
Yes, it's for yourself. It's for yourself, and it's almost even selfish to require another human being to make you feel good because you need to feel good at that point. I'm proposing.
Your something is showing. I don't know what to call it, but something is definitely showing.
Let's go.
So I think a lot of times, a lot of us lack emotional intelligence. A lot of times people want to behave as if like, I'm not the problem. I haven't done anything. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. And meanwhile, you've done a lot. You've done a lot. A lot of times people say like, you know, oh, I mean, I've already answered all your questions. I've really done this. Okay. So it's lacking emotional intelligence, is lacking empathy a lot of the time, because as much as I'm saying I'm on the side of the fence that says don't seek closure, the reason why I'm saying that is because as someone who has desired closure, I've realized that most of the times the other party is very like not
probably
empathetic
what like
towards
I'm describing.
my situation.
Okay.
So people that tend to say that fall on the side of the fence that you're asking the question for, I would like to argue that maybe they lack some type of, emotional intelligence. Maybe they're not really sympathizing.
Or some parts of their soul is dead.
With the other party.
Absolutely, because you know what? I think I side with Jess on this just because I've been in that situation as well, where there's been, I try to think that I'm the friend that always tries to overcompensate. Like like if the person is being negative, I'm still like, okay, I'm gonna make it positive. I'm gonna make it okay. You know what I mean? And when that person decides to cut you off, and it's like, it's a thing of, I know that I'm the one who's always been positive. I know that I'm the one who's been putting a lot of effort into this friendship. And for you to like basically cut me off, it's not because I know what I did or whatever. And if I'm looking for closure, a lot of the time when someone is looking for closure, it's because they do not know what went wrong. They have no knowledge of what has changed and what has happened. That is why they're looking for the closure. And the person who's probably on the opposite side are thinking, I don't know, it's either they're thinking you know what you did, or they're thinking, I don't even care. Like I just bye. Like you know what I mean? And that's a lot of time. It's just very much like they don't even want to explain. And there's some people who it's their toxic trait to rather leave a situation rather than
sort of escapism, basically.
Yes. To leave the situation rather than fix it. Like maybe it's them that did something wrong. Maybe they're stuck in their ways. Maybe they just don't want to deal with this emotional trauma. There's some people who don't even want help from their friends. You know what I mean? So they might not even know. The person away.
They might not even know they're toxic.
Exactly. A lot of people that are the most toxic think they're perfectly normal people. And that's the part that frustrates you the most.
Yeah, just to piggyback of what you just said, all the scenarios you just mentioned are all as a result of trauma. I think from the roots, a lot of us have trauma that we have not dealt with. I will stand with my two legs and say I have trauma I've not dealt with. That if people experience me now and they say maybe I'm guarded or I'm standoffish, is 100% as a result of trauma I've experienced. So the you that claimed you were the overcompensating friend, your overcompensation is based on trauma. The one that is doing fight or flight is based on trauma as well. Based on trauma. The one that is saying that I don't even think I did anything wrong is based on trauma. Like all these different scenarios,
reactions
mingling into a cocktail of like different relationships, and we haven't even dealt with our past issues, and that's why all of our relationships, be it friendship, be it relationship, they're all.
That means we're almost all toxic. That means almost all of
us has toxic traits. Everybody does. And that's where accountability comes in as well. I mean, I think me and my friends have been talking about, we like to do therapy for each other sometimes. And we've talked about it a lot. Good. That's really good. Because we realize that, when someone's reacting a way that you're not used to, there's always something behind it. Because, us knowing each other, be like, you're acting different. I'm not going to take what the negative energy you're giving me right now, I'm not going to take it personally. Facts. Rather than taking it personally, I'm going to ask you what is really going on underneath the surface. Facts. And let's get to the bottom of it. And it's called accountability.
But do you know why you can do that? Because you have patience. And you've matured. A lot of us, we are maturing in age, but like other sections of us are not maturing as fast as maybe our age. And and that's not really our fault. Life is hard. Like I'm gonna keep saying it. Life is hard.
Life is hard.
I'm especially saying that since I moved to this country. Life is hard.
Life out here.
Life is hard.
Life out here.
All right.
It's especially
a lot
hard.
of things that I didn't even think were issues when I moved here, it was like these things were hitting me left, right, and center. I'm like, what is going on? I thought I didn't have no problem. I come here and I find out I do lack emotional intelligence. There's places I have not been able to mature in because I've not been able to experience those things until I moved here. So like the fact that you can do that with your friends is a very beautiful thing, and that's where we should all aspire to be. A point where we're more patient with each other, more tolerant. Not tolerant to like someone like blatantly harming you or minimizing you or disregarding you, but if you can see genuine, like, okay, this is my friend, this person has shown me a level of, you know, respect and connection that I know that even when they might do something that might be disrespectful, and as long as it's not harmful, I can be patient and be like, hey, let's try to work this out.
What's going on, what's really going on. I think there's some people who just don't deal in a sense of accountability. So when someone does act up, and, you know, and that in that person's mind is, you know, as you said, it is what it is.
Facts.
Like, you know, I don't owe you anything. But yes, you do. You know, we said that we're going to be there for each other.
Facts.
We said that we're going to, you know, go through this journey, this crazy journey of life together.
Facts.
You know, we did say that, you know, when I got your back, you got my back. So when it's a time when you're switching up, you are accountable to tell me what's wrong. You're accountable. Yeah, you're accountable that when I'm looking for you for guidance, and you don't want to be there anymore, that is an accountability. The terms of our agreement has changed. So that is accountability. And I think a lot of people, especially like us millennials, there's a lot of people who, you know, all these memes that fly around, you think, oh, I'm a bad bitch, I don't need to do this, I don't need to be responsible for anything. And you know, and that stuff is blinding us. It's really blinding us that we'd rather just turn our friends into our enemies rather than actually just being like, you know what?
It's making us more self-centered, more
self-centered, and everybody's thinking, I can do this on my own individuality. Sometimes there's such thing as too much individuality sometimes.
Absolutely. I think like with I think like with the way we've been talking about life out here and how life out here makes us even harder and makes us even more what's it called, makes us even more, I don't know, on the edge and all those kinds of things. You know, it does bring out the savage in us and all that. I think that sometimes, like the argument I was trying to make earlier, it's not like just a person that wants to be stupid and not acknowledge that you've had any problems, but like people that they're coming from genuinely a situation where they're immediate family, everybody's an antagonistic. You know how in Nigeria, you know how sometimes where somebody wants to tell you something helpful, they're trying to help you, but you will feel attacked because of the help is coming almost like, you know, the sea road, you won't die, you know, car go just jam you, and they're trying to say, come this way, there's danger there, you know, that kind of thing. But you might almost feel attacked, you know. So like imagine that being your mental state, imagine that being your setting exactly at all times. So I don't see why you will not extend that to your relationships. I don't see why you will not extend that kind of almost aggressive energy. And imagine if we all had that kind of aggressive energy, or imagine if we all had those kinds of I don't know, it makes things harder. Emotional intelligence, as you said earlier, Jess, is absolutely important, where you understand that my friend is just being caring, she's saying it this way or he's saying it this way because they really like, I have had friends I had a friend that my girlfriend was like, we're not talking to this person again. Oh shoot! You
said
you don't cast.
Jowda has a
nice,
girlfriend.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
Don't worry, we'll still stream your music. It's
it's all good.
Dami,
it's even more beautiful now that we know that it's targeted.
No, maybe it's off brand for him. He has to be single in public.
So,
okay, sorry.
So there are times. There's been times that people that I love.
God.
There's been times that people that I love would say to me that we're not talking to this person anymore because of how this person is treating you. But because they don't understand the connection I have with them.
With that person.
Because they don't know that I've gone through things that are deeper than this with that person. I understand that where this person is coming from is a place of love. You know, the person is not coming, the person has you in mind, basically. I'm talking about like relationships with like your normal friends and everything. So like I wouldn't take that, I wouldn't take that to heart. I understand. It might hurt me. What will even hurt me more is that I put myself in that position, that I allowed myself to be a target, to be to be spoken about like that, you know, but that is coming from this person. No, I would even appreciate it. Because another person would do it out of, you know, would do it with beef or anything. But I'm saying that emotional intelligence is really important in relationships with people, just regular social relationships or romantic relationships. It helps to navigate, it helps to reduce heartbreak, and then maybe sometimes the need for closure might not be there so much because you understand the person and you'd be like, you know what, all right, cool,
this is what they're like.
Yeah,
But
right, cool. This is where our journey, it helps you navigate not just the person,
but your reaction.
Exactly. Because I can't gauge what you would do. I can gauge to an extent what you would do, how you react. If I say something to you that I know would irritate you, I can gauge what you do to a level. But when you do react, I can, you know, I have to. So if I'm prepared, if I prepare myself that, don't worry, this person tends to be a kind of person that you shouldn't tell everything. You know, I'm already ready. So when I hear that, oh, Dauda's, this happened and that happened in Dauda's house kind of thing, you know, I'm like, is that person okay? All right, we know where to put her on the list, or we know where to put him on the list kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, we've veered. I have veered.
No, I get what you mean.
I have veered off
that's
point.
Thing as well, like, you know, knowing. But do you think that might be toxic sometimes? You know, when you have a friend that is very toxic in terms of they show up late to a lot of things or they flake a lot, and you say, oh yeah,
they're not there for
how
you.
They are, you know, I'm used to it. That can also be a toxic trait as
Do
well.
they have any redeeming qualities? Do they have anything that
they might
saves?
have other things that's great about them, but best believe you keep putting that particular thing that irritates you, because you know it, you notice it because it irritates you, right? If you keep putting that thing on the back burner, eventually it's going to blow up. Eventually there's going to be a situation, let's say that person is a flake. Eventually there's going to be something, let's say you're an album listening party and that's your best friend and you want that person to be there and they flake.
We tell them.
That is going to, but it's going to be too late by then. By then, you're going to be like, you know what? You're a dickhead.
You're my guy, but you're a dickhead.
You're doing the most, and that's going to put a strain on your relationship. So there's some times where you can say, yeah, that's just the way they are and all that. Right. But then there's other times where it's like, yeah, that's the way you are, but you got to fix that.
Yeah.
You gotta fix that situation.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think a lot of people don't have those kind of conversations with their friends enough.
Emotional intelligence again. Again, back to Jess's point.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence.
I think I think that's what this whole episode is gonna be called. Emotional intelligence, because you need to know that, you know, this is the straight and narrow, and this is what you need to do when it comes to friendships. And it's not just, you know, relationships as well. I mean, I feel like friendships hurt more than relationships. Or is it just me?
Yeah, the most painful breakups I've had have been friendships. It's not even relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships, it's like, I mean,
either there'll be another.
You was already a problem anyway. But like friends where it's like, yo, we've done life together.
Yeah, you know me.
You know me. We've been vulnerable with ourselves. It was not really, especially when you organically become friends with someone. Like with relationships, it's kind of like, it's not as I'm not gonna say it's not as organic, but there's this
some sort of
perception
scripting,
of like, I'm pursuing this person.
Yeah.
We are probably interacting based on the assumption that you're pursuing me and I'm allowing you to, or vice versa. But friendships is like you fall into it, or you organically become friends, and you grow like all these types of deep bonds. And you don't even know when you start growing the bonds, as opposed to with like a relationship where it's like from jump, it's like it's either we're growing this bond or
we're not.
Where you know becomes something confusing or situationship, and then you kind of know like what's an entanglement. You know?
Hello, madam.
But like friendship breakups are way more painful.
They're more painful. Yes, I agree.
Friendship breakups are like,
that's your guy.
Gut wrenching.
That's your guy.
Especially when the situations where, like, let's say you listen to music, movies, or whatever you did growing up, and you can't even think about doing something without like thinking about you did this with your friend. Especially like the amount of milestones that you went through with your friend. Guys come and go, relationships come and go, but that friend has probably been there through all of it, you know? And that just makes it worse.
Absolutely.
For me, the reason why I think it pains me so much is because I'm naturally a guarded person, so whenever I decide,
To let somebody
whatever
in.
possesses me to decide to start bringing down bricks,
Go pay you
Ah,
pass.
and be
Go
like,
pay you
hey,
pass.
come into my life, and then I become vulnerable because like there's Jess Finesse that has come outside and like has put all this stuff on, is like sitting on your couch and doing your
It'll
show,
hurt you the
and then
most,
there's like
man.
Jess or
Yeah.
Jessica that like is that's like my innermost self, right? That's
Yeah.
like every external layer stripped down, and I let you become my friend, and you see that,
Hmm.
and then we now,
You're not acting
the
anyhow.
friendship dissolves. That
You're
thing
mad.
pains because I'm like, you didn't have to come into my life. Like you could have just
Like,
been
it
seeing me
wasn't by
outside. I could
force.
have been chopping your knuckle outside, and then we
See.
go our separate ways.
Yeah.
Now you coming into my house, you're coming into my life. You knowing my
See.
business. You knowing when I'm crying. You know when I'm this, and then we stop
Yeah.
being friends. No, sir.
No,
ma'am.
sorry. That's the worst
No,
one when they
ma'am.
know all your secrets. Like they
Yeah.
know you through and through. They know you.
One of us must die.
Ah,
I'm joking.
See,
I will lie.
I'm
It's not a
joking.
truth.
But like, it's deeper.
It's
It's not
deeper.
about like sex or
Even with
flex
relationships,
or all those kinds
you
of
form
things.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're your friend, like you're
It's your
completely
guy now. It's your
down.
person. It's your
guards
person.
are completely
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and
So it's
and
deeper.
it's based on shared interests. It's based on trust. It's based on trust. So like you feel a bit more you feel cut deeper if that happens. I understand that.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
No, it's cool. You can say, sir.
Oh,
You
yes, King.
more-
Let's go.
You've said it more than once that
Mhm.
you differentiate friendships and relationships. You've said the word like sex. Like you're differentiating. Oh well, there's no sex involved. There's no sex involved. What is this thing? And this is a. I'm not gonna say it's a Lagos thing. It's a global issue. I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this thing about this 3-letter word that people like to use to define whether it's
relationships.
it's not that serious. We're not knacking. Oh well, it's
We're
super
not
serious
na-
because
we're
we're
not
knacking.
knacking.
You know why
You know
is
what?
that? Why is that like
You're right.
Why is
such
that
a
important?
concept that
Yeah, what
people
she
really
said.
carry on their heads
What she said.
like that?
Okay. So Dami, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this intervention session. No. I understand what you're saying. I feel like I only say sex because I feel like sex is like the pinnacle of intimacy to a level on the physical side of things, right? However you have sex, because not everybody has penetrative sex, right?
Not everybody has sex.
Not everybody, exactly.
Okay.
Not everybody even has sex in the first
At
place.
all.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
that there's a level of intimacy, right? There's a level of intimacy that you guys are as vulnerable as you were born with each other. You understand? So, like letting the person see you to that level, it's kind of a closeness that you can't really get on another level. Letting somebody see your story, telling their friends you have that are closer than partners you've had before, because those friends know you, know the real you, know your story and all that, But people you've been intimate with, that's intimacy is another kind of closeness, And if that's
different form.
it's a different form, exactly. You're showing yourself to somebody,
I don't buy this.
You don't buy.
No, I know why. You know why I
Just
don't
doesn't
buy it?
buy
I
it.
know where he's going with it. I
Right.
know where, like,
Okay.
there's certain people, like, obviously some of your friends, maybe they haven't even seen you naked.
Right.
And, when you're having sex, well, it depends on the kind of sex you're having.
That's exactly why.
Because of the
levels,
kind
oh.
There's levels. There's
Levels,
levels
oh.
to that too.
Come on.
So, it could be a situation where it's, very intimate sex, like that kind of, baby making type of sex. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hi, Mom. It's just kind of, that kind of baby making kind of sex where it's just very, very emotional.
Right.
So there's even that as well. That connection. But obviously, not everybody can have that. But there's some relationships that are way deeper than even that.
Right.
That there's
Right.
some people who cannot connect that much sexually,
Right.
and they connect even
Emotionally.
emotionally
Yes,
on a much
yes.
deeper level.
Yes.
So I think that's what Jess is getting about. Like
I
the
understand.
emotional
I
connection
understand, yeah.
sometimes is way more
It has to be, because sex is
deep
different
than
as
the
you grow
sexual
older.
relationship. Yeah.
Sex becomes different. If I'm imagining even if you're with different people, it becomes different as you grow older. So emotional connection has to be the anchor, has to be the main factor. So yes, I did mention it, but I was just talking about another type of intimacy. Do you buy it now? Not yet.
You could convince me like a little more, but
Oh,
I'll
yeah?
give it to you. Because I give it to you. I give it to you.
All right, cool. All right, cool.
Okay,
Cool.
on that note, yeah, when it comes to closure, you guys are still stand on that you don't need it, even with friendships as well.
I stand on the
don't.
fact that it depends on how it ended. It depends on who the person is and how your relationship is with the person. But majorly, it's a personal problem. It's not that person's problem to make you feel better about a situation that ended. It's your problem to take on the responsibility of being greater than that situation. I think.
And Jess?
Yeah, I personally don't need it, but it took me a very long time to get to that level of no longer needing it.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I completely empathize with people that still desire it. If you can get it, great. If not, just find ways to be able to move on and continue to live your best life.
Literally, continue to live your best life. And on that note as well, I feel like, closure is not 100% needed. It's a lot of self-evaluation that you need to do. And if you feel like you need it, maybe reach out to the person. But if the person, rejects that invitation, just let it go. And you have to be able to be secure in yourself. I think it teaches you the hard way to be more secure in yourself and knowing that you don't need somebody else's validation or approval or validation in order to be who you are. And teaches you the hard way that all you need is yourself in order to be confident and continue to flourish on your own. On that note, thank you to you guys for coming through. Thank you, Jess Finesse, for coming through, and thank you, Dauda, as well, for actually sticking around.
Anytime, every time.
You
Damn it.
you were great. I'm gonna have you back on.
Dauda day for you.
You were spitting some gems.
Let's
so
go. Come on.
For sure. Thank you so much. On that, that's it. We're definitely gonna call this episode after what you named it.
Emotional intelligence.
Come on.
Emotional intelligence.
No problem.
Emotional. Come on. Emotional.
Emotional intelligence. That's what it is.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you to everyone for watching. Make sure. Where can they find you? For watching, for listening.
Everything. Jess Finesse.
Jess Finesse and.
So Dauda, everything's a Dauda, man.
Everything's a Dauda and everything.
Yes.
And my personal handle is Dami_Oke. That's DAMI_OKE on all platforms. We're done with the takeover with Dami Oke, but in a few, Java will be right here with the jab through.
It's the takeover with Dami Oke. This is your one-stop shop to all things good music. You're listening to Wave Radio.